Hello, everyone. It's Jerry at the Fledge. Welcome to another episode of Every Damn Day. And today on the show, my entrepreneur has not responded to me, so they're not going to show up, and that's okay. I don't really know this entrepreneur well, and I'm not going to call them out or anything like that. I hope they're okay, and just because they didn't show up doesn't mean that I can't show up. And so today I'm going to do this little loop on myself or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of jokes that could go around about what I'm about to do, but I'm basically going to interview myself, and I'm going to talk about every damn day. I'm going to talk about the Fledge. I'm going to talk about things like that. So today, it's snowing a little bit. I'm starting to think about how we're going to do the food distribution and keep everyone safe and not slipping and all kinds of different things. But what I guess I want to just go through the same format that I put everybody else through. And so the first question is usually tell us about you and your projects. And I'll start with telling you about me. I am a Lansing native. I was born and raised in Lansing. I was born in a hospital called Ingham Medical Center. I think that's what it was called at the time, and that was in 1966. It became Ingham Regional Medical Center, and now it's McLaren on the south side. And I'm mentioning that because I'm proud that I live a block and a half away from the hospital that I was born in, but I have traveled all over the world. I've been all over Southeast Asia, Europe, the Middle East. I've been to 48 of the 50 states, and I'm proud that I live by where I was born. And then, I started the Fledge in Grand Ledge, and now we moved it to the east side of Lansing, and I'm a Lansing Eastern grad. So the other weird thing might be that I am super proud that I live a block and a half, or I work a block and a half away from the high school that I graduated from. And, if I told you only those two facts, that I was a block and a half away from where I was born, and I'm a block and a half away from the high school I graduated from, you might think that this is some small town that I live in. And I don't know, it's a big small town, but, and you might think that, I just stayed here and scraped by and did whatever I could do, but I didn't. I challenged myself. I went to the University of Michigan. I think some of you have heard the story of my father telling me that I was going to wrestle, and that wrestling was going to get me a scholarship, and that I would go study computer science. And I did all of that. I did exactly what my dad said, except for my senior year, or maybe my junior year, I switched from computer science to mathematics with a emphasis on statistics and data science. From there, I went to work for the Unisys Corporation, where I became the youngest certified management system auditor, ISO 9000 auditor in the world. I went on to work for Cascade Engineering as a quality manager, and eventually the director of quality and then VP of quality. And Fred Keller, my mentor, taught me how to I don't know, I guess use entrepreneurialism to solve problems. And we worked on Welfare to Work. We created our first incubator that I was very proud to be part of, called the Center for Innovation within Cascade Engineering. And I did that for a while, and I incubated myself out of that incubator. So I had a consulting company named Jadian that accidentally turned into a software company, and then we merged with another software company called GSC Mobile Solutions. And I don't know, I was doing some work there, and then somebody from India said, "Hey, do you want to come to Dubai?" And I know that India and Dubai are different country or different state entities, whatever. So I met him in Dubai, and I ended up spending 12 years commuting back and forth to Dubai, building food safety systems and environmental protection and public safety and the Ministry of Labor. And I got a contract in Doha, Qatar. I did some work in Saudi. I did some work in Bahrain. I did work in Kuala Lumpur and Singapore and Taiwan and Japan. And, basically I traveled all over the world, but eventually GSC Mobile Solutions, we had problems. We had, 2008 was coming, but around 2006, they declared bankruptcy. So I bought my company back and built it back up with some partners. And we eventually sold that again. And then then I was stuck for a second on what exactly I wanted to do. I was a little tired of software. I was a lot tired of traveling all over the place. And so I looked at Lansing, I looked at mid-Michigan, and I thought, I want to do an organization that gave opportunity to people like the opportunity I had. And, I had a lot of privilege when I was growing up, and I recognized that privilege. And that privilege came in the form of relationships. And I had the best coaches as a wrestler. I had the best teachers. Lansing School District was a very good school district for a very long time. Lansing Eastern, the teacher of the year was my literature and my AP English teacher, and his name was Mr. Spagnolia. And, it was a very, very good school. And I had very, very good support from people all over the city. The Norris family is a long-term Lansing family. We own the Norris Grocery on the west side. We've been here a long time. We've done a lot. We've worked for GM. We've worked for the state of Michigan. We've worked all over this place. And, I wanted to start something where I could show the kids that were raised like I was raised. I was raised in poverty. I lived in Section 8 housing. Usually owned by Joel Ferguson, who was one of the people that helped raise me. It's Greg Eaton. Him and my family go back into the 50s, maybe even the 40s, when, he told me one day, and it almost made me cry, that his very first job was at the Norris grocery store on the west side. And, I'm proud of Lansing, and I'm proud of my family, and I'm proud of all of you out there, because, there's always the risk that genius is lost in poverty. And by no means do I think I'm a genius. I think I'm rambling on. I'm struggling. I'm getting by. I do the best that I can, and I try to do a little bit more. But there are people in this neighborhood, that there are people in Lansing that live under the poverty threshold, that don't see real, true opportunity. And some of these people are genius, and they could do things that would solve the problems in our community, or our region, or our state, or our country, or our world. And we can't let poverty be lost, or genius to be lost in poverty anymore. And so that's, one of my big motivators behind starting the Fledge. So that's a little bit about me. The second part of that question is tell us about some of the projects. And I'm not going to go and expound on the Fledge right now, but I am happy with some of the projects we're working on, and I'm not going to list them all, and I'm going to mention people, and I'm not going to get everybody, and I'm sorry about that, but I'll do my best. I think that, one of the projects that I'm most proud of this year is how quickly we pivoted to be, a food pantry, and then the Lansing free stands built us a stand, and now we have the food stand, and we had restaurants donating to us. We had, eventually the Capital City Market started giving us produce, and I think we're nearing, and I don't know the exact number. I know we crossed 50,000 meals, and I think we might have crossed 100,000 meals now. And I want to celebrate when we cross whatever the population of Lansing is. I want to, think that maybe the Fledge bought everybody dinner one day. And that's not everybody, but it's on average and all of that. And I know I'm being weird, so I'm going to go on to the next thing. I'm proud of Every Damn Day. This is episode 95. It's the second time that the Entrepreneur hasn't showed up. The first time was on Thanksgiving, but we immediately rescheduled. I have recorded episodes of people that can't go live because they're a kid or they're just too nervous that I could be using right now, but I didn't want to use that. I wanted to talk about Every Damn Day, especially as we approach our 100th episode and the things that we're doing. I also, I'll give a quick shout out to Sean and Chris. If you want to ask me a question, it's weird to interview myself, so it would be fun if other people were asking me questions too. So Every Damn Day, the food program, of course, harm reduction is heavy on my mind every single day as people are continually being isolated and being taken away from their connections. Many of you know that I had a daughter who died of a fentanyl overdose, who was a heroin addict for a long time. I have 4 grandkids that were her children that I see often and I love very much. And my daughter stands, if I'm handing out Narcan, my daughter is standing next to me. If I'm talking to somebody suffering from substance use, then my daughter is sitting next to me. And, I've talked before, the Fledge is in some ways my therapy, and it gets me through a life of losing a child. And when you lose a child, that doesn't go away. And people often say to me, I can never imagine that. But yeah, you can imagine it. Imagine losing a child, and it feels pretty much like that. It is a hole, and it is a loss that you'll never get away from. And then if you have other children, the fear is there every day, every second of every day, every minute of every night. You fear that you'll lose another one because it happened once and it can happen again, and it's just devastating. And whatever I just put out in the universe, close your ears, universe, because I don't want to put that out there. But all these things motivate me: poverty and substance use and homelessness and the lack of mentors that people sometimes have, the educational system that's crumbling around us and not educating people for happiness and fulfillment and purpose, but more for, hey, we have all these, companies that need this talent, so let's educate our workforce. Our educational systems have turned into basically factories that try to put out workers, and I'm not sure that's good for us. It's not healthy, and I just don't want to do that anymore. I don't want capitalism that doesn't have a moral compass. I don't want genius to be lost in poverty. I don't want the American dream to be some fake thing that, we think we motivate each other with it, but it's never been true to all of my BIPOC friends, my Black, Indigenous, people of color. It hasn't been true, and it's not real. And the opportunity that the teachers and the different organizations and institutions that come into the school and say, there's an opportunity and this is the land of opportunity. But a lot of that opportunity isn't true. It's not true if the only thing you know how to do is flip guns or flip Percocet, or your biggest mentor is your cousin who's a year older than you that just got out of, a youth detention or whatever. It's not true if you're 14 times more likely to get arrested if you're a young Black kid. I don't know, and I can't. Enough is enough. And, if 2020 has taught us nothing, enough is enough. And it's time to make the American dream true. And it's time to fight for liberty and justice for all of us. And I just, that's what I'm doing. And we do 99 problems, but a pitch ain't one, to try to give entrepreneurials a platform to, start their business or start their effort or to get up off the ground. We believe that poverty is solved by 3 basic things. One of them is education and competency related to entrepreneurialism. One of them is a connection to a marketplace, so people who will buy the products or services. And the last one is some amount of funding that will help people get up off wherever they're at. I don't mean off the ground or pick yourself up by the bootstraps. All that shit is bullshit. What I mean is some funding. People live in poverty because they don't have cash. Let's give them some cash, and then they won't live in poverty anymore. So I'm a big fan of universal basic income and UBI and free housing for the homeless. I'm a big fan of harm reduction. When somebody, there are people out there who will always use heroin, and some of them function every day. You know them. You probably know them. You probably have someone in your family who does that. And abstinence is proving again and again and again to not be the answer. The war on drugs is the war on us. The war on drugs is the war on poor. The war on drugs is the war on people of color. And it was never intended to help people get away from drugs. It was always intended to extend the Jim Crow policies of America. And, I don't know, it's entrepreneurialism to me. It saved me in so many ways. And I want to give that back to my neighborhood, to my community. My mother lives 2 doors down from me, and she's lived there 30 some years. And Lansing raised me. I have these stickers. I want this T-shirt. Where you at, Dustin? Lansing raised me, and I want to be someone that helps raise other people. And, that's, I guess, some of my thoughts. And I've got a question from Candace out there. If you have not talked about it already, how has pandemic changed your view of the Fledge, if at all? As we move on, has it changed your initial goal for the Fledge? So the answer to that question, going backwards, is no, it did not change my initial goal. My initial goal has always been to create opportunity to pursue happiness and to fight for the liberty and justice for all. So the pandemic It's made us have to change. Why am I doing every damn day? Because every damn day before the pandemic, at least 10 entrepreneurs walked in this building who I had never met before. And I'm not getting to meet them as much. So I'm extending this radically inclusive show to get people to talk to me and to tell me their story and to tell me how they're being innovative and creative and using entrepreneurial techniques to solve the problems of our community. Because everything we do is through other people, and not being able to engage with entrepreneurs made me really hurt. But at the same time, we had to huddle up and we had to say, what's the best thing we can do for this community right now? And, part of it was going virtual. Part of it was getting the food out there, keeping with the harm reduction, getting the clothes out there, and then trying to restore as much connection as possible. Because connection is the opposite of all our social ills. Connection helps with substance use. It helps with homelessness. It helps with violence. It helps with crime. It helps with abuse. And losing the connection during the pandemic is a killer. We see increased overdoses. We see increased murder. We see increased suicide. And we got to get out of this, and we got to help each other get out of this. And that's kind of how it's changed things. But we're agile and we're light and we can move fast, and we're here and we're diverse, and we're all these things that just make us resilient and make us strong. We were ready for the pandemic. We were ready for 2020. We never missed a beat. And I'm super proud of that. But that's not the proudest thing or the most proud thing of 2020. The most proud thing is how proud all of the people I'm working with are of themselves. Because I'm not here to make Jerry this big hierarchy, whatever thing. I'm here to build leaders. I'm here to mentor. I'm here to help. And I'm here to help raise Lansing, because Lansing raised me. So I'm rambling. That's a bit of what I've been doing. I got to mention, I am doing a show called 10,000 Fledges. That's about the model of the fledge and how somebody could copy what we are doing. And then we do Coding Club now, and I see Cindy out there. Thanks for your great support. We love Quinn. I want to make sure that that's said. And Coding Club, that's one. We had reading, writing, and arithmetic. We've got to add coding to that. It is a skill of the future, and it's something that all of us should know about. So those are kind of me and my projects. So now the question is, what do I do every damn day? And the list is long. I do the show every damn day. And whether the entrepreneur shows up or not, I'm going to show up. I don't know why he didn't show up today. And I don't blame him. I don't resent him. Nothing like that. I don't ever want to disengage with somebody because of something like that. I don't know what happened, and everything's just fine. So if you are listening to me, entrepreneur, who was supposed to be on the show, you're welcome back. Go in, reschedule. It's okay. I'm not going to hold that against you. We all have our things that happen. And so I do the show. I try to mentor at least one person every day, independent of the show. So if somebody's struggling with substance use, or they're trying to figure out how to get more revenue, or they're looking for funding opportunities, I try to sit with them and see where they're at and see what they need and see if there's a path that I can get them on. I give thanks every day. I suffer a lot of trauma at the fledge, and this, just please bear with me for a second, because it's not meant to be a feel sorry for Jerry story, but I've been stabbed at, I've been assaulted, I have been harassed by our government, I have been shot at, I have been attacked on social media for maybe a stance that I was fighting for somebody that somebody thought I shouldn't be fighting for. And I suffer a lot of trauma because of it. You don't know how hard it hurts when I hand somebody a packet of clean needles, because it triggers everything for me. You don't know how hard, it hurts when when we got shot, and those 8 shots, they echo through my mind all of the time. And when, in our neighborhood where I live, just last week, 6 shots at 3 a.m. And it triggers me because somebody could have died. There was a woman 45 seconds before in the path of where the bullets were, sitting there texting. And if Trayvon Pruitt wouldn't have told her to move and get inside, she'd have got shot. And poor Casper, I've never said this publicly, but, he got shot sitting out in front of the Fledge. And, the city came at me like it was my fault because I was having a rap show that was giving away over $10,000 in prizes and services. And it's the biggest entrepreneurial monthly event that was happening in the city. And I don't know, I get triggered. So I told the community officer that, and they sent me to their psychologist, which they only had one of at the time. And, we talk about defund the police. We talk about all cops are bastards. We talk about fuck the police. They tear gassed us. They tear gassed 8 of my kids that are fledglings, and that hurt us a lot. And we're not going to forget that. We're not going to forget that we got tear gassed. And if, you guys show up to a protest in riot gear, then you're going to start the riot. You're starting the fight. If I show up to a basketball game and I've got t-shirt and shorts on and you guys have helmets and cleats on, I'm going to expect a much different basketball game than what I thought I was showing up for. So don't show up for riots, or don't show up to protests in riot gear. Take that shit off and come talk to us and come be with us and come help make our city better, our community better. I tell my family I love them. I adore my family. I left them too many times. I flew to Dubai 89 times in my life, and I spent almost a quarter of every year in Dubai, sometimes more, and I missed things. And, we use Skype to watch basketball games and to talk to each other, but I never want to do that again. I shouldn't have done that. And, every damn day I'm trying to tell them how much I love them and how much I adore them and to be present for them. I write and I read every damn day. And, my wife pointed out that I'm writing only business stuff right now. So I'm going to go back to writing my fiction and working on one of the books that ironically was called I Am the Plague. And it was about a virus that gained intelligence and used AI and centrifuges and blah, blah, blah. So I want to go back to writing that. And, I fight every damn day because, one, it's not good enough to not be a racist. You have to be an anti-racist. You have to call people out, and you have to ask for compassion and kindness. And I just fight every damn day for people that are not getting liberty and justice for all, that aren't getting the opportunity to pursue happiness, that aren't living in the America that they taught us in our textbooks. That dream's never been real, and we're going to make it real. And I'm not fucking around. We are going to make this real. I don't like to lose. I don't like to fail. We will succeed or learn until we succeed. And I believe in that. And I believe in America. And I believe that with the shift of leadership from the highest part to the lowest part of our government, we can do things that are good for all of us. But we have to attack racism. We have to call it out. Don't play that locker room bullshit no more. Don't sit there at dinner. Don't get on a Zoom call with your family. You call them out, and you do, I got a really good friend, Figgins, that I met during the pandemic that helps with the free stand. Not helps, just drives it, just makes it happen. And they always say that we are all still learning, and, show some empathy. Even if you just want to strangle them, try to constrain. And I know I don't. I go on rants, so I'm trying to give advice to myself too. But show some constraint and do some teaching and do some mentoring and get people to wake the fuck up. You are not the rich people that Trump is talking to. You are not the side that's being taken advantage of. And your understanding of math does not give you the credentials to not wear a mask or to think the pandemic's unreal, or, your white privilege where I had two black friends in high school or whatever. That does not make you an anti-racist. We have to get rid of racism. It is hurting us. It is hurting every single one of us on a daily basis. The weaker the web gets, the weaker we are. So keep up the fight and keep going. So I'm going to keep the show moving. I didn't expect it to go this long already. We always daisy chain the shows together. And so yesterday on the show was a fledgling, our good friend Jeff. And he, he's running for mayor and stuff like that. And I'm trying to help him try to figure out what to do and stuff like that. And his question for the entrepreneur that was going to be on there is, did you have any other different, any other names than what you came up with? So the question to me then I interpret it as, was there any other names that you were going to use instead of the Fledge? And I had Sunshine on my mind, and I almost called the Fledge Sunshine. And part, if I kind of walk backwards, it's because I called my daughter who passed away Sunshine. It's because sunshine rains an abundance on us. And I believe in an abundant economy, not a scarce economy. They make us fear each other. They make us think we're not going to get what's ours because they tell us we're working with a little pie, but the pie is infinite. The pie is in our imagination. The pie is in our universe. It's infinite. And also because one of my wrestling teams, one of the most badass wrestling teams on the planet, and we had an Olympic gold medalist, we had a world champion, we had all kinds of D1 placers. We were good, and we were called the Sunshine Wrestling Club. And that was right here at Lansing Eastern in the 80s. And so Sunshine was one of the things that I wanted to name the Fledge. And we will be starting, and this is the first time it's been heard except for by a few people, on February 15th, my daughter's birthday, we will start the Sunshine Accelerator. And it will be an incubator for companies that we've been working with that are post-revenue who want to increase their revenue. So that will kick off next year on February 15th. What would have been, I guess, Daniela's 33rd birthday, or Sunshine's, as I called her. On the show tomorrow is Kiana Pugh, and she has it in her heart to help the underserved, to help people who live in poverty get housing and get help. And Kiana is a young entrepreneur. She just recently graduated from Sexton, I believe. And my question to her is, what was the first time? I'm laughing at my answer, what it's going to be. What was the first time you ever got money for something that was entrepreneurial? And, you know, for a lot of little kids, that might look like a lemonade stand or whatever. So what's the first time she got paid for something entrepreneurial? And mine is, I used to live in, I can't remember, Highland or whatever. It was, there are townhouses on Hague Road. So in between Hague, or in between Miller and MLK, where Hague goes through there, I lived in the townhouses. And I lived in what, if you're from the south side, you'll probably know what the Big T is, which is the T parking lot. And we lived right there. And I used to pick flowers from the yard of the old lady that lived a couple doors down, and I would pick those flowers. Then I would knock on her door and I would sell her those flowers. And I thought I was a badass, man. I thought I had a business. I thought I was a great salesman. And what turned out to be true is that she was one of the nicest old ladies, and she probably thought it was cute and all of that. So that's how I made my first dollar in entrepreneurialism, by picking someone's own flowers and selling them back to them. So that might sound shady, but I'm not shady never mind. I'm not shady anymore, but keep Bitcoin shady is what I meant to say. So, you know, that's basically the interview. And I've interviewed myself, and it seems super weird, but I thought it might be good to tell this story and say it one more time. And I also, you know, I asked the guest at the end of each show to take us out with a piece of advice. And one of the things that's really been heavy on my mind in the last few days, and I don't know why, but about love, because I started unconditionally telling so many people, including the men in my life, that I love them. And you'll hear me say that often now. And there's a stigma around that, you know, especially masculinity and all of that, where you can't tell a dude you love him. You got to say, you know, whatever. You got to qualify it or whatever. And I think when we're growing up, when we're little, we get taught to, you know, the people we love are the special people in our lives. And that translates somehow mistakenly, I think, into you can only love people who are special in your life, your mother, your father, your significant other, maybe a couple of best friends, but that love is supposed to be scarce and given out only to a few. And I think that's wrong. And I think we need to love each other more. I think we need to have more kindness and compassion. And I think we need to tell each other that we love each other more. So I'm going to end with this. I love you all. I hope some of you love me back. And I hope more of you find more and more people to love, and more people to love you, because it matters. Love's a thing, and it's a big, powerful thing. And if we love each other, we can get through all of this bullshit. We got this, y'all. Have a good day.